Hello, Libra risings. Welcome to our monthly zodiac reading for the month of June 2025. As always, we are going to pull an overall energy theme for the month. We will pull tarot for each week, clarify that with more tarot, as well as discuss the astrological transits that are occurring during those weeks and how those messages tie in to those transits. And then we will wrap it up with some additional oracle guidance. So let's see what Libra needs to know for the month of June. Rejuvenate. Rejuvenate. A lot of that going around. I feel like a lot of kind of going through some death and rebirth moments for a couple of the signs, you guys included. So that's nice. Rejuvenate. Maybe you focus more on, it feels like, getting back in touch and back into alignment with what you want. Let's see what the tarot has to say. Here in the first week, the 10 of Wands. So the 10 of Wands can represent feeling a very heavy burden, a lot of responsibility, feeling very duty bound to something. You're carrying a lot of weight for something. This is when Venus, your planetary ruler, is moving into your sister sign of Taurus. For you guys, Taurus sits in your 8th house. So the 8th house has a lot to do with transformation, death and rebirth, the occult, sex, like very taboo topics. It even governs things like debt and inheritance, as well as shared resources. So you may be carrying a very financially responsible burden for, like, maybe you and another person, or you and a partner. Like, you're carrying a lot of financial responsibility, and you could just be feeling, or you could be feeling the weight of financial responsibility, or just ultimately energetic responsibility is kind of what this feels like as well, because the 8th house is a karmic house. And when we think of debt and inheritance, we can also think about energy, right? When we spend a lot of time with people close to us, we are sharing our resources. We're sharing our mental health. We're sharing our emotional health. We're sharing our spiritual energy. We're sharing our physical energy, as well as physical responsibilities. Like, these are all shared resources, right? So it could be that you very much feel the burden of being responsible for yourself and maybe even others. Here in the second week, the Page of Pentacles. Pages are messengers of the tarot, or they are considered an apprentice. You could be receiving a message of financial opportunity, or you could be receiving a message of stepping into a new learning environment, right? Learning to almost like investing in your own, the words are escaping me. I'm trying to get it together. It's kind of like investing in your future, essentially. This could come with like knowledge and learning something new, since we are looking at a page. But it feels like investing in a message of investing in something that is your future. This is the week that Mercury, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, and messages, is moving into your 10th house. So you could be receiving a message of financial opportunity here, right? Maybe you're receiving a message for a new job or a new way to make money. Mercury is moving into Cancer. On the 9th, Jupiter, the planet of luck, expansion, and growth, and abundance, is moving into that same sign. So this very much could be that you're receiving a message of a new job opportunity, or just a new financial investment opportunity. On the 11th, we experience a full moon within the sign of Sagittarius. Full moons are a buildup of energy, and this energy kind of culminates and comes to a peak, and it's going to be happening within the sign of Sagittarius. This is your third house. This is your house of communication and thinking, right? So it could be that maybe this full moon is going to illuminate something around this message, and maybe communicating or learning around whatever opportunity or offer this is. We'll know more when we pull more cards, right? Here in the third week, we have Mars moving into the sign of Virgo on the, can't see my dates, the 17th. And you have got the Tower in reverse. So there could be this change or a move that has already happened. If you receive a new opportunity, it might be in a new place that you've recently moved to, or it could be requiring you to move to a new city. But the Tower in reverse can also represent a change that is being resisted, right? A change that is being resisted, or it can represent inevitable change, right? This burden that you're carrying, an opportunity to invest into something that looks a little bit more financially stable. This is a change that has been coming, and it's a change that is needed to come, right? Mars moving into Virgo. Mars is the planet of action, aggression, assertion, war, violence, power, control, and desire. He's not the easiest planet to deal with, but utilized properly, that desire and that need for like power and desire and like kind of like conquest can really, it's what gives people ambition, right? So Mars moving into Virgo. Virgo is sitting in your 12th house. Subconsciously, this is the house of our subconscious. This is the house of hidden enemies, which is typically ourself, considering we're talking about the subconscious. You could be self-sabotaging here by resisting this change. Mars moving in there, it could be bringing up a little bit of fear, or maybe even some control issues with trying to control the outcome of something versus just kind of allowing yourself to go with the flow, right? On the 21st is when we will experience Cancer season. So anytime we shift into a new season, the themes and qualities of that sign begin to take center stage. And within the sign of Cancer, this is around the family, the home, maternal aspects, nurturing, kindness, and fun. Cancer signs are a lot of fun, actually. Here in the fourth week, you've got the High Priestess. Very nice. Here in the fourth week, this is when you experience the new moon within the sign of Cancer. Again, your career house is being activated. The 10th house, which is career, public image, and reputation, is being activated heavily this month. And so here you're experiencing a new moon within the sign of Cancer. New moons are a new opportunity or a blank slate to set intentions, create manifestations, or even just write a new story for yourself, right? Again, this is around your career. This could be listening to your intuition, trusting that those judgment calls and that gut feeling that you're following is the right thing for you to do. Here, we also have Mercury, the planet of thoughts, ideas, communication, and messages, moving into the sign of Leo. Leo sits in your 11th house. This is your house of like social networks, close friendships, local neighborhood, as well as your like future and aspirations, right? Your hopes and dreams. It may be that you end up telling your friends this week, I'm making a career into being a psychic, being a medium. I'm going to focus more of my time and energy on something very, very spiritual and intuitive. Let's see. But here it's probably, if that's the shift that you're making, if there's a change, like a dramatic change that it was inevitable to happen, it's already occurred. It might have felt unexpected and a little jarring, but that's kind of why maybe you're being guided to rejuvenate this month. You're meant to really focus and just regain your sense of self and your energy, your own personal energy. Here in the first week, the 10 of Wands, the 10 of Cups, and the Knight of Swords. It's almost like you know that if you take a step forward towards whatever happiness this is, where are we talking? We're talking about your 8th house. If you are, you know that if you take on this happiness, like if you move in with family, if you move close to them, like whatever's happening with you when it comes to working towards this ultimate happiness, you know that it's going to potentially create a lot more responsibility. And so you could be very hesitant to move towards that. I want to say he was in reverse. But when I just picked him up, he was like that. I'm pretty sure he was in reverse. So you could be very, very hesitant to move towards that, right? Or you could just be very cautious in taking on a lot of responsibility. You've got 2 10s here. This represents the result of a completion, something that has already come to an end. And this is kind of the aftermath of that change, right? Maybe you're hesitant to communicate the change that you want to make, okay? Because it could require a shift in how much time, energy, effort, or even finances that you invest in something. Here, the Page of Pentacles in the second week, receiving a new opportunity, like I said, potentially a new career opportunity, but feeling maybe a little disappointed in the opportunity and maybe choosing to walk away from it, which could be what the Tower moment is suggesting. This could also be an opportunity for you to learn more about what you value. Maybe, like I said, learning more about what you value and moving towards that, but it's going to require you to kind of separate from something or someone even. If you feel like you've been working towards this idea of a very happy home, but you see no real movement towards that direction, you could actively choose to be like, look, this is what I value in regards to my situation. And I don't see that that's happening here. So you end up having to separate. Like I said, whether this is with family members, a job, a loved one, like a spouse, you could be choosing to separate yourself from that instance. But I do kind of feel like my initial reaction with the Page of Pentacles, like you receive a new opportunity or you receive a message of a new opportunity and you're like, oh, well, that's not what I thought it was going to be. And so you feel very, very disappointed in it, right? You could receive a new message and you're disappointed that you have to leave an old job. Because again, we're talking about your 10th house that's heavily activated here in this second week, your career house. You're receiving an opportunity to invest in something that you value, but it's going to require you to walk away from something that you have been investing your time into. Here, the third week with the Tower in reverse, the Four of Wands in reverse, and the Queen of Swords in reverse. So this is definitely resisting a necessary change, because maybe you feel like it creates a lot of unhappiness. This could also be like you're people pleasing here. You're like, I don't want to make these people unhappy. I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to resist the change that I know I need to make. because I don't want to do that. I don't want to upset anybody. But in reality, like if you're going to take this opportunity, you're probably going to have to do that, because the tower doesn't show up for just anything. This is a change that was inevitably going to happen one way or another. You're just being given an opportunity to take it in your hands and to create that change, or it's going to get to the point where the universe is going to do it for you. And typically, if that happens, it tends to feel a little bit harsher than if we'd have just ripped that band-aid off ourselves. That's just been in my personal experience. Here, the fourth week, the High Priestess, the Emperor in reverse, and the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. You could be having to regain a sense of your own independence. If you're having to separate from someone, whether this is a romantic partner or a career or business, if this is a romantic partner, this separation was inevitable. And here in the fourth week, they could be showing out a little bit. When the Emperor's in reverse, he's a bully. He's very temperamental. And he's just not somebody that you want to be in a connection with. But I do feel like with the High Priestess, if that's the case, then you're going to see the truth. You're going to be like, you know what? I see why I was pushed to make this change within the connection, why I was pushed to make this change in this situation, because this is a very unhealthy environment, and it could result in like you having to regain a sense of maybe even financial independence. Let's see. If this is in regards to your career, because we are talking about your career house, listen to your intuition. Yes, if you walk away from where you're at now, you are going to maybe have to regain a sense of financial stability, right? You could have to take a pay cut. You could have to do all kinds of certain things that result in you spending more money than what you're bringing in. However, listen to your intuition. Trust that you can make the right call and make the choices that are ultimately going to lead you to feeling more stable and more confident with where you're at. The day you plant the seed, it could be that you're hesitant to communicate where you feel the burden. Like, right, if you're feeling like this happiness that's been created has come with a very, very heavy burden, you're very, very hesitant to communicate that. You can still communicate it with the Knight of Swords. Just do so. I would encourage you to think about what you want to say ahead of time and be prepared to stick to your boundaries and be prepared for any potential backlash. Okay? But this is the day that you plant the seed. And the day you plant the seed, it all begins to kind of, I don't want to say unravel, but unfold. Here in the second week, the best of you, we've got 2 3s right here. But the best of you, like you deserve the best of you. And I like this because she's like in this milk bath and it's like rejuvenate. If you want to focus on what is best for you and the best version of yourself, you are potentially going to have to disappoint some other people. You're going to have to disappoint people that maybe have become reliant on you. You're going to have to put those boundaries in, and you're going to have to separate yourself. If you are really willing to step into the life that you want for yourself, to step into this very best version of you. Unconscious games. If this is happening, if you are resisting this change, you could be allowing other people to try and talk you out of it, even though it's going to create unhappiness on both sides. Like, everyone is going to be resistant potentially to this change, and it is going to try and trip you up. It is going to create resistance towards what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So just remember that if people are trying to talk you out of it, if they are trying to convince you to stay, if they are trying to convince you, oh, well, if we make changes, maybe this will work, it's not going to. That's their subconscious stepping forward and trying to hold on to what it is that they know, because change is always scary. But if you are true to following this path, then this change that is occurring is meant to happen anyway. Best case scenario. Listen to your intuition, right? And move with the knowledge that your thoughts create emotion, and that emotion becomes energy in motion. Think about the best case scenario when it comes to this situation, when it comes to leaving a potential career, or whether it comes to leaving a potential relationship. Focus on the best case scenario, because that is where the truth will be revealed to you. Okay? So I truly hope this helped. I hope you guys have an incredible month, and we will see you next time.